When last did you ask yourself this question? Am I actually making profits? You know, a lot of us only consider the total revenue coming in, but we don't consider the profits. We actually think we are making profits, but all we calculate is what is coming in, and we don't consider the expenses and the taxes involved. So how do you know you are making profits? You need to start considering every of your expenses and the taxes and so many other indirect costs that we don't think about. Okay, so as an entrepreneur, fashion entrepreneur to be precise, I'm a milliner, and so I'm going to be talking about expenses we make that we don't actually, you know, so many indirect costs that we don't put into consideration, and then we all calculate that, oh wow, I've made so you know, you have sold an hairpiece for 15,000, and in your mind you have made a profit of 12,000 naira because your cost of production was just and your material was just maybe 3,000, and you don't consider so many other costs, and in your mind you are making profits, and then at the end of the month you're like, you have nothing left. So ask yourself this question: am I actually making profits, or I'm just making sales? So making sales is quite different from making profits. Making sales, yes, you're making sales. There's an income. Something is coming in. You have a total amount of money coming in, but you're not actually considering your expenses, the taxes, your deals. There's so many other things that you're not considering. So now, let's talk about this. Okay, so now as an entrepreneur, you ask yourself, how do I know my profit margin? So I've listed out so many things. We're going to be doing the calculation together. But before we go into the calculation, now I want you to understand that we have some direct costs and we have some indirect costs. So talking about the direct costs, I mean your cost of production, mainly. That is the cost of the goods sold, probably in a month. This is what you sell maybe 20 fascinators and all that. So now we are thinking of the cost of production. Now those are direct costs. Do you understand? So direct cost has to do with your cost of materials, probably to make this headwear I'm wearing now, this headband. My cost of production, I bought this feather, I bought this rose, I bought the Alice band, I bought the foam inside. You understand? So those are my cost of materials. Now then the cost of labor, you know, your labor, you have to actually put that in, because to do it, you are spent, you know, there are some jobs that require 2 hours, you are done. There are some jobs that requires, you know, 5 hours. And then you look at the headpiece, something very small, especially all those wire fascinators. It takes you a lot of time. So you have to put that into consideration too. That's your cost, that's your labor cost. Do you understand? Probably maybe your labor cost, you can't do it all by yourself, and then you need to employ someone to do it. I mean, you need to, maybe you have a tailor, maybe the job was much, or it's something you cannot finish. Maybe you have sewn a cloth, maybe you have, to the fashion design, you have sewn my particular cloth now, and then you need to do some biddings on it. Do you understand? And then you have to outsource the bidding out. So that's labor cost. Someone has bidded it for you, so that's a labor cost. So you put that. Then packaging, a lot of us don't calculate that, sincerely. You know, at times you buy, and these nylons now, they are very, very expensive. They are very, very expensive, especially the shiny one. You know, you have to package each time you make your headwears. You first put it inside this transparent nylon before you now put it inside your packaging. I mean your okay, hold on, I'm going to show you what I. Okay, so when I say packaging, before you deliver your hat, you first put it in a poly bag, like this is not a poly bag, I don't know what, let's just say a nylon, and then this is also part of packaging. Do you understand? And then you still put a branded nylon. Do you understand? So this is also, you should have a cost. You know that for each nylon is 100 naira, and this is 15 naira. So you know that your packaging is there. And if you're using a box, do you understand? So you know your packaging is there. So that's your cost of production. So most times when we make our headwears, we just charge, and then once, okay, we've made the headpiece for 15,000 now, and then all your cost of production, maybe for this headwear now, for this fascinator, I bought my materials for maybe 5,000. Do you understand? And then, so all we just do is just calculate, okay, 15,000 minus 5,000, 10. My profit is 10,000. I'm making money. You're not making profits because you have not put some. So those are just direct costs now. Yeah, those are direct costs. That's your cost of production. But now, we want to talk about the overhead costs now. These are costs that we don't think about. These are indirect costs. These are fixed costs. So now, talking about it now, these are the things we need to consider for each headwear we make. To know your profits, you have to deduct this from it. So I'm going to show us how to deduct it, so understand if you're actually making profit, especially if you are new in the headwear business. So a lot of us have made that mistakes in the past. So, and then when we are pricing, and then you just think, so that's why I see some people sell some fascinators for 5,000, 3,000, and you know, and I'm wondering, where is the profit? Where is the profit? Now you have rented an apartment, an office space, or even if you are working from home, you are paying rent. Are you not paying rent for that? Of course, maybe your husband, your husband give you a small space, maybe you have one small corner. Just see it as you are paying part of that rent, because you are preparing yourself for when you have a rent, or when you're going to get a space of your own. Do you understand? So now rent, so part of your overhead cost now, rent. So in a year, you know that your rent is maybe 300,000 or 400,000 or whatever, and then in a month, how much are you paying? So you can do this on a monthly basis. So you know that your rent for a month is 30,000. You write it 30,000. Utilities, like my office now, I'm using Bandhe. I'm on Bandhe, sorry. If I load 1,000, that's 4 units. So, and I use steam iron a lot. So if I load 5,000, that's 20 units. So how long does it take? Under 7 days, it's gone. So utilities. So in a month, how much do you load for your utilities? Maybe 10,000 in a month. You have to put it there. So for each head where all of this amount, little amount must be deducted. You're not deducting the whole 10,000. No, there's a way you do it. So then your dues. Probably you're in an association. I'm in 2 different associations, and I pay yearly. So one I have to pay like 20,000, another one like 20,000. So that's like 40, you hire it 40,000. Those are fixed, because you can't change. There's nothing you can do about it. They are fixed. Do you understand? So marketing, maybe in a month you do sponsored ad. Maybe you're the type that maybe in a month you do sponsored ad of 20,000 or 50,000 or 10,000 or 100,000. Write it down. 50,000. That's for your marketing, your sponsored ad. Do you understand? Then tax. Like in my office now, every year they will come, trade permits will come, IRS will come, and I keep telling them, my business strategy say no, you have to pay, whether you like it, you must pay, because they will keep coming every month. So trade permits will come, you will pay, you write it 10,000. IRS too, that's tax, is there. You are not calculating, you think you are making profits, and you are paying all those money every year. Then your credit allowance. Of course, to chat with a customer, you must always have data, because you don't know when a message will come. So you keep loading, and internet now, the way it runs, the way your data burns out. I don't understand MTN. So your credit allowance or your data allowance, you have to call your headwear is ready, man. Okay, you have to call the rider, please, can you come and. So you always have to load all of this. So you put that, maybe in a month you use data or 5,000 or credit, put it there, have it. Then you have people working for you. Do you understand? You have some, maybe a tailor, usual people. Of course, you can't work alone. So you have to, well, maybe you're still working alone, but a time will come, you know that you cannot work. You need somebody to work for you or to work with you, so as to make your work easier. So in a month, or you're paying yourself. So even if you're not paying anybody, how much are you paying yourself in a month? At least, okay, 100,000. Most of us don't pay ourselves that salary, but you know that you're supposed to pay yourself, or you're paying yourself, whichever. Okay, sorry, I had to attend to someone. Okay, so I was talking on salary. So the next one is transportation. Most times we transport ourselves to work every day. You don't count it though. If you want to take a job now, probably you're not self-employed. You get a job maybe in a bank or anywhere. Before you take that job, if they're going to pay you 100,000, and maybe the job is, living in Ogba, the job is at VI, you have to calculate your transportation every month, every day. Maybe your transportation is 3,000, and then you calculate times 30. Times 20 days, that's 60,000. If they are paying you 100,000 and your transaction is 65,000, at the end of the month you have 30,000. What is it? It doesn't make sense. So you have to calculate your transportation. So most of the at times, some people, maybe their workspace is not far and they have to take a bike or they fuel their car. So you're in a month, how much does your transportation cost? You have to put it in a month. My transportation is maybe 10,000. So all of these are fixed costs, it's not negotiable. Do you understand? They are fixed, they are indirect costs that we don't think about. So in a month now, that all of this now is what, maybe if you calculate everything, is like maybe 150,000. So you leave that aside. So that is your overhead cost. So you now have your cost of production, that is aside. So there's a way you calculate each unit. So in a month, let's assume that you have made 500,000. You have made 500,000 from your sales, and the number of units you have sold is what? 20. Maybe you have sold 20 headwears. That 20 units now. So you have to divide the 150,000 by the 20 units for you to know how much per month you have to deduct that money. I don't know if you get my calculation now. Probably you have made 20 headwears, and then